Okay, I think I might have got it this time. I'm trend, but I'm not sure. Um, so I put in block party, so I'm hoping that hits a trend here today, maybe. Um, and so do you guys remember back in the day? This is kind of a memory from back in the day when we used to have block parties. And, well, other people were having block parties, but what is a block party? A block party can just be like a city party of some sort. It's something where a bunch of people from a neighborhood decide to get together and have a party. But I do kind of remember seeing them on television, where, sometimes you'd have, gosh, my gosh, yeah, I was thinking on a smaller scale when I was a kid. My mom and dad, well, my mom and the neighborhood ladies would actually, sometimes it seemed kind of like we would have block parties. They'd do stuff for us, the moms would, and sometimes they'd have a little snack for us. It would just be us kids in the neighborhood on our block. And they would just have. I kind of remember one time too that they did do something right in our backyards, kind of at the property lines, and they just set out food and stuff. And the parents, I vaguely do remember that now that I think about it. It's not something that happened a lot. But, it was something that would happen every once in a while. I mean, they had their uh, married woman sorority, for the women who didn't get to go to college. And so they had get togethers for the ladies then who were married with kids. And it was sort of like a thing like that. So I mean, the block party can be really, really small to a block party that's really, really big, and I mean, I mean, there's so much context to what a block party is. I just remember the barbecues. Usually the fire department was involved in some way. But yeah, I remember our moms doing lots of things for us when we were kids more than anything, creating block parties for us when we were kids. And that was fun, when they put potato salad and food outside for us to eat. And sometimes I mean, my gosh, some of the moms, I mean, they would literally invite us over. We'd sit outside on the picnic tables and they would give us cookies and lemonade and hot chocolate. And well, that's if it was a little bit colder. So we usually didn't drink hot chocolate in the summertime, but we'd have lemonade and cookies. But there was one lady, one of our neighborhood ladies, she loved to give us little treats and everything in the afternoon. It was just something she liked to do. But we always had to ask our mom if we could have permission. So we'd go ask and then we'd come back and tell her yes. And so I don't know if our mom got on the phone and called the other lady or not, but we always had to ask her permission to go eat a little snack, and she had just a little tiny snack for us. And that's what she'd say. She'd be like, "Well, you can have a snack if it's okay with your mom. You got to go ask your mom first." And so that's just how it was. Even though they all knew each other, she didn't want to give us something that our mom might not want us having. So it was always go ask your mom first and make sure from your mom. Now, the other kids, she'd be like, well, I already know that you guys have permission to have a snack. So my mom was a little bit different. We had to ask her permission. Now, the other kids, she'd be like, well, I got permission from their mom the other day. I told them that that I was going to be having a snack for them, and she told us it was okay. So I think what it happened is it just depended on the mom, because some moms were, my mom was a little bit different from other moms, and she wanted to know where we were getting things, and if it was something if more or less, if it was a neighbor that she actually approved of, because of the fact, well, most neighbors she approved of in the neighborhood, just didn't want us getting things from strangers that we didn't know, and being put in a vulnerable situation because I had all those stories on TV about men luring little girls into homes and things like that. She didn't want us doing anything like that. And so, and the thing is, when I was a kid, it's like I was, my brain was just thinking like in the Leave It to Beaver mode of that I'm a little kid, nobody's going to do anything to me. Um, but parents, they think a little bit differently about things like that. And so, but I was thinking about the block party, the dances that you have, graduations, class reunions. I'm thinking right now is class reunion time of the year. Now, I know a lot of class reunions, instead of having a specific year class reunion, they've been doing things where they will have a class reunion, kind of like a block party for class reunions all together. So they don't care what year you graduated from. So they'll just invite everybody from every year. And so yeah, COVID-19, the 1900s, and 911 block party. Oh my gosh, that's such a strange way to think about it. But yeah, it was a COVID-19 block party is more or less what it was. The pandemic, literally, it literally was a COVID-19 block party. I mean, blocking us all out of all kinds of things. We were blocked out of a lot of things. I mean, think about that. All the things we were blocked out of during that time. And a lot of things weren't mandated, but now a lot of these companies that blocked us out. There's one company actually, it said that it was going out of, the whole thing was going out of business, and then I read that said it wasn't going out of business. Now it was one store, I can't remember. Well, it was one of those home type stores. And there's so many, my gosh, there's a lot of them. But what they did was they had this thing where they wanted you to wear a mask going inside of their store. And if it was a store that made you wear masks in the store, I wouldn't go in it. Grocery stores didn't make you. The grocery stores did not make you wear a mask. But there was other stores that would make you wear a mask. But not one grocery store that I went into was telling people that they had to wear a mask. They actually had a thing, it said something about a recommendation, but they were not making people wear a mask. But it was so frustrating. It just was frustrating because it's like, well, how is my germs? And, I kind of made light of things during COVID-19. And I would say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for bringing my germs from outside into the store. I will try so hard not to do that in the future. And that's what it was, just basically what it was related to was germs, because isn't that what COVID-19 was all about, was germs? And it's sort of like poking fun at rich people, because we always heard that thing about how rich people don't like germs. Now, I'm starting to see Donald Trump in a little bit of a different light right now, because he is shaking people's hands from what I saw. I mean, he was always shaking people's hands. But we always heard this thing that rich people didn't like germs. And if that was true, what made Donald Trump so not so squeamish that he did shake people's hands? I mean, he wasn't scared of shaking people's hands. I've yet to see him actually hug people. Maybe he's not comfortable doing that. I don't know. Or maybe the Secret Service advises against it right now. I'm not so sure. But I don't see him being affectionate towards, oh my gosh. I mean, if he could be any further away from his wife, they'd be in two different states. I mean, right now he's not even, she's never around him right now. So I think there's trouble in paradise related to him and his marriage, even though I think he likes to include her every once in a while. I don't think his wife is actually living with him. I think she's totally embarrassed of him right now. and she doesn't want to be around him at all. That's kind of what I think. That she doesn't want anything to do with politics. Now, that could be a run over from the Obamas, because I know that they had addressed Barack Obama. I think what they said is if he could run for another term. I think that's what came up. If he could run for another term. Now, that's a very special club that presidents go into. Is if they could run for for a third term, would they do it? There's not very many people you can ask that question to, who have limitations to their job. When you think about it, it's like, I'm trying to think, that's something that I've not even been a part of, a special club where someone would say, if you could do this for a third time. The only thing would be is marriage, and it's like, well, that's kind of like a third term in prison there now, isn't it? With marriage, if you could do this for, it's like, oh my God. All right, okay, let's prepare now for a divorce before we even get married. That's kind of how I feel about it right now. But it's different when you have a job, and a president is like, if you could be president for a third term, would you do it? And I know that was thrown around a lot. And, people were saying that they would rather have Obama again. Well, it did seem like things were good. It really did. It seemed like things were good. People were being prosperous. And, but maybe that's just for me. Could have been just for me, because I thought things were good. Even though during his administration is when things started to go bad at the end. It went really, really bad. And I think that the love affair that America had with DEI is over with. And it's a big resounding, it's like, well, wait a minute. You guys pushed this thing so far. It does surface that the people you're trying to reference, they're the ones who have been doing the discriminating. Because you can't fully qualify and cover every ethnicity related to equality in jobs. And so if we look at the Fed chair can't even ensure full employment when it comes down to that. They just can't. That's that's what I've been looking at. The Fed chair can't even make sure that we ever have a full employment. So they don't talk about that. They just don't talk about that at all now. So they talk more about other things that maybe they can control. So the Fed chair is supposed to, make sure there's enough jobs, but they can't do that. Which is kind of funny, you think about it. Like, how is it the Fed chair's responsibility that there's supposed to be full employment, but yet that's mentioned as a law? That's actually mentioned. So does anyone have any questions or anything they'd like to talk about? Anything pressing on your mind? I'm going to figure out a live stream here at some point, which hopefully I get some traction. But for right now, I think that's about it. So we'll see you guys soon. I talked a lot about nothing in this video and rambled. I really like my videos better where I have some sort of structure. I do. I like my videos better where I have some sort of structure and I have a few things planned out to talk about, which I've been using Google Scholar and Google Books to find some little ideas and things to read from and talk about related to past history in comparison to things that are going on right now related to a state of crisis that I find we're in related to the United States of America and inflation and things that are being overlooked in our society. It's the great white elephant in the room. Let's just call it a great elephant. We don't care what color the elephant is. It's the elephant in the room that's the problem. And so it's just like, okay, we have a big forest in front of us. We're looking at the forest. We don't realize the forest is a problem, but the forest is a problem now that it's burning and on fire. But we didn't think of the forest as being a problem before. But now that we have a blazing hot forest fire, our whole town's in jeopardy of burning down. Okay, so anyone have any questions? Anything pressing that you'd like to talk about? It would be great to get some feedback, some ideas, something. Please subscribe if, you know, um, I know I have a nice, cute little video, a cute little thumbnail on the front. And, you know, I really do. I wish I could do a live stream that kind of mirrors my thumbnail. I think that would be cool because I'm pretty positive that exists. I am so pretty positive that exists. If I could have like a live stream and then have little AI responding to me in, with a, that would be so cool. If I had little troll, I'm like the moderator or the speaker, and then all of us are little trolls, and it just takes on the images from my thumbnail in the video, and I'm speaking, and I'm having a conversation with AI, and I'm sure we have a pretty good conversation. I'm pretty sure we would.